Oh goodness, I didn't mean for that to do that, so I gotta find something here to prop it up a little different. Oh, I don't know if that's gonna work either. Oh boy, what a bad angle here, huh? Goodness gracious. Alright, so what we're gonna do, regardless of how I look, is we're gonna try something fun. I've been feeling in a real rut, too focused on some stuff that I don't want to be focused on for a while. I thought I did a rough count, 28, I was going to say 28 days, but this is actually a mix of, as you can see what it says here. I'll read it in a second. I don't know if this was given to us, if it's something we found along the way, if it was just acquired. Singing railroading songs, jokes, and stories. We're going to try to keep this light. I can get into the gore of the railroad, the original laying of board. I really just would like to focus on the good of the railroad, but and do my best with that. I have discussed that I love trains, but that the origins of like how they could have did the routes more kindly, things of that nature could have occurred. So we use this as a bookmark. So I haven't read notes in a while. I should remember because there was so many years of it. I started to more go by improv. Now it looks like today maybe we're just going to have to do an introduction. Is Singing Rails, Railroading Songs, Jokes, and Stories by Wayne Erbsen, and Railroad Fever. The first blues is Cannonball Blues. A traveler must have a falcon's eye, an ass's ears, an ape's face, a merchant's words, a camel's back, a hog's mouth, and a stag's legs. English Proverbs, 16th century. I have a little water there. I might have to... Let the whistle here. But it's supposed to be fun because I'm not going to practice. When we try it on here, that's it. So it's just Fire Up Your Heart, Children of God. This is just something fun we're going to do. And I am going to say that because it's the truth. It seems like there's a lot of outlets that don't want people to have fun. They want them scared. And Cannonball Blues, Railroad Fever is a little bit of a read, or we skip that right now and we try a song. But we're going to give it a try. It seemed the whole nation was under the spell of railroad fever. Spanning the continent with the first transcontinental railroad, trains literally changed the face of America and conquered the frontier. As the most important machine of the 19th century, there were few aspects of American life untouched by the railroad. Even our dreams were affected. Where boys once longed to become a soldier, a sailor, or a cowboy, suddenly they dreamed of becoming an engineer. The men who worked the railroads fancied themselves a breed apart, manning powerful iron horses. They were immersed in the greatest adventure of the age. Working their way up the ladder, many seasoned railroaders started as young boys. Teams of youngsters known as news butchers peddled their wares up and down the aisles of passenger coaches. The engineer often started as a wiper who swabbed caked oil from greasy locomotives. A conductor's career in railroading might begin as a brakeman whose job often meant teetering atop rolling freight cars. Others worked their way up from telegrapher, switchman, brakeman, baggage man, fireman, station agent, and yardman to conductor. Railroading was seriously dangerous work. Railroad men braved Indian attacks on the Great Plains, blizzards in Montana, tornadoes in Nebraska, switchbacks in the Cascades, snows in the Sierras, and deserts in Nevada and Utah. Other hazards included train robbers, prairie fires, runaway trains, damaged bridges, and train wrecks. No wonder in a single month in 1888, 2,070 railroaders lost their lives on the job, and another 20,148 were injured. The songs, the stories, and even the jokes all play a part in telling the history of railroading. Although no one can say precisely when the first railroad stories and jokes were told, railroad music for the piano was published in Baltimore as early as 1828. Even the newfangled Edison cylinder talking machines of the 1890s celebrated the railroad with such popular songs as A Night Trip to Buffalo. Singing Rails is itself a train. Each page is a boxcar or passenger, car loaded with the songs, the jokes, and the stories of the people who lived the railroad life. Hop aboard, stranger, let's go for a ride. And I do love a good train ride. But I did watch, okay, we're going to stay positive. I do wish, outside of the initial of why Indians were attacking the trains, for good reason, is the allurement of when it was like fine dining and everyone was in those fancy clothes, but then it was still, there was like separation of classes. We don't want to ruin it here. We gonna ruin it. But literally going on the train could also be very dangerous. So, as it was stated. And so we have the Cannonball Blues. And it was in all the newspapers on the morning of September 7th, 1901. The previous day, President William McKinley had been shot twice by anarchists Leon Czolgosz. Police were holding the assailant and had confiscated his weapon, a .32 Ivor Johnson pistol. Within a week, the president had died and Vice President Theodore Roosevelt had taken over the nation's highest office. These events set in motion the creation of a ballad about the assassination known as White House Blues. It was eventually recorded on September 20th, 1926 by Charlie Poole and the North Carolina Ramblers. The popularity of White House Blues spread, and portions of the song showed up in the lyrics and melody of a seemingly unrelated song, Cannonball Blues. It was the Carter family from Maces, M-A-C-E-S, Maces Springs of Virginia, who first recorded it in 1930 and again in 1935. That may have not happened because I just got concerned about how I'm going to ruin this song, most likely. And that's part of this show, is this particular series we're going to try to stick to, is how bad can it get, or how good can it get? Or in between. The text and tune drew heavily on White House Blues. Okay, so what I'm saying is original song was White House Blues, and then over time, and this is with many, many songs, by the way, I actually have found many songs that I adored thinking it was an original, and it was so by far not an original. It had went way back when, and it had just kind of been transformed over time, or bits and pieces from over here. Or I would think, wow, man, that was really deep what that artist was. And unfortunately, No. I mean, I'm not saying that it wouldn't have meant a lot to that musician, but it is often performed as a finger-picking guitar showpiece. The text and tune drew heavily on White House Blues and also contained fragments of older songs, and that was the Cannonball Blues here, which we're going to discuss. And it looks like I could possibly try to remember a beat, but not really, so we're going to try. I mean, that's shameful, really. And when I advertised to meet musicians, I literally had to state in conversation, I'm not very good at notes. I can try. I'm more improv. I can go by ear and sound better and learn it that way. But that's not fun for professional musicians. So we would pick and choose, and that's also me and my husband. We met that way, and so that was how we met. As I was looking for more improv ear sight, and you could do notes and tabs, but then we would have to all be more patient with one another. And so we would do record and playback to remember tune or beats. You can wash my jumpers, starch my overalls, catch the train they call the Cannonball from Buffalo to Washington. So I don't know. That was the first verse. Okay, so we're gonna try. Is can I get fixed up here a bit? No, most likely not. Worst shirt I could have picked. Angle, what has gone on? Okay, listen to the train coming down the lane, trying to make up all of her lost time from Buffalo to Washington. My baby's left me. She even took my shoes, enough to give a man those doggone worried blues. She's gone, she's solid gone. Yonder comes the train, coming down the track, carry me away, but ain't gonna carry me back. My honey babe, my blue-eyed babe. I'm going up north, I'm going up north this fall. If luck don't change, I won't be back at all. My honey babe, I'm leaving you for good. I added for good. That was not so great, but we'll move on all awake, 'cause this is much more fun than talking about corruption. I need a break, oh Lord, I need to move forward. And another thing, I already messed up a bunch of stuff I can't fix all away. No one would document nothing, no correctly. Me and my husband did not know what to do. We handed it to you, Lord, it just got Lincoln's Ghost Train. Illinois. Whoa. Okay. Sorry, it like messed me up. I'll show you why. See the I, the big I, and then the two L's. And when you're my age. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna do a quick read. Maybe we'll get through two. So if I thought maybe 28 days to do this whole book, and this is another author, and I'm just sharing this like a storyteller. I'm not making any money, and nor is this a part of any propaganda agenda or initiative of anything. This, what is voiced here, is a human being from America, so I'm told. My ancestry is very odd in the sense that people's stories just simply weren't making much sense, and some pictures didn't make sense, and then where do those pictures go? And then there's just a bunch of other mysteries. I discovered so much, but we're off-roading, and we want to stay on the train. We want to stay on the positive highlights of trains, not the darkness of trains, because there's a lot of darkness with trains. There's a lot of lightness with trains, and a lot of things in life are full of light and full of dark. And now she's going to go Buddhist. No, I'm not. Like, oh God, help me. So that's not with everything, though. Thank God, Creator, we don't live in a black and white world like this. Even though sometimes it's fun to watch black and white, it just kind of gives a special air to it. Like, you know, would his pictures cool like that? It would be cool in color. I don't even know how old this guy is. I don't know if he was like, he's not that old. Lincoln's Ghost Train. Michigan Central train caught in snowdrift, 1864. Okay, now we got card sharks too. Over 300 card sharks reported working abroad the Union Pacific system alone. A deck of cards was so common it was often known as a railroad Bible. The Missouri Railroad threatened to fire any conductor who permitted gambling after one of its directors lost $1,200 to a card shark. A railroad Bible. And then this is one in Michigan. And all of Michigan used to be much more gnarly with snow. Illinois' legends tell that on the anniversary of the passing of Lincoln's funeral train, strange things happen. If you stand at the track where the train passes, the moon will turn dark. Far in the distance, you will then see the approaching lights and belching smoke of an oncoming train. As it passes, the locomotive will be draped entirely in black, and the engineer appears to be a skeleton. The cars will be all darkened except the last, which is lit. Inside you will see Lincoln's flag draped casket with 4 Union soldiers standing at each corner guarding it. When the train finally passes, the moon will become bright again. I have no idea what just went on there, and I'm not going to pose to know that I do. It sounds like someone saw a vision, maybe during or prior or during or after, I don't know. An old man with long gray whiskers came through the cars selling popcorn, chewing gum, and candy. Hey, said one of his customers. I thought young boys were supposed to do your job. I was a boy when this train started. Sorry, I was choppy. It's like a misprint, or I'm not catching an accent. Okay, so that was different. And I don't know if that can still be seen today. Casey Jones. I'm going to try not to cheat and look this up. It was, and if I do cheat, I'll tell you, but then it's going to ruin this series, is we're going to do this series. No matter what happens to me, and if they keep pushing court and all that fun stuff, is, I think they think it's going to help them to keep harassing us, but it's really only hurting them in the long run. It truly is. So I love all of you, and I hope we can have fun with this, don't you?